Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Selamat tengah hari. Welcome to EGG's Level Up Play One webinar. Level Up KL, of course, is a premium event annually organized by MDAC. I am Richard V from the law firm of Richard V Chambers. I am very honored to be here today. Pleased to be part of this exciting and innovative forum and conference and convention. And this year, due to what's happening around the world, you and I are meeting up here instead of at a hall at a conference center. Now, today's webinar is pertaining to a topic to discuss about the impact of the COVID-19 on esports. We have here with us today three very experienced speakers. They are very comfortable with their areas, respective areas of practice. And I will be inviting them one by one after this. But this is how we will do the show today. We will first invite all three speakers to introduce themselves. And then we will then go through a few topics of discussion, because this is a dialogue. This is not a Q&A at the moment. This is a dialogue. And the topics that we hold today involves including the plans of MDAC in esports, media observations about esports, etc. And then at the tail end of this webinar at about 3:45, 4 o'clock, we will do a Q&A. So please feel free, those who are watching on Facebook, and I know this Facebook live broadcast is being shared with other pages, so you feel free to go back to the EGG page, put your comments there for our three speakers to give their views. At this stage, I want to congratulate MDAC for continuing to organize this event. EGG Network, which is part of Astro, for organizing a fantastic online webinar. They've been planning this for weeks. The planning at the back has been fantastic. I want to congratulate Mervyn, Lai, and team. Mervyn and team, including Rachel, has been working really hard to get us here today. Now, the three speakers we have today, they are the top of the top in their game. That's my view. They know the stuff. The first gentleman is Encik Hasnul Hadi Samsudin. He's a vice president at MDAC, the Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation, and he is in charge of the digital creative content. And then, there we have those who are in the MDAC and know the gaming industry. You will know Hasnul. You cannot miss him. He's very enthusiastic and very passionate about this area. Secondly, we have Mr. Choong Khay, better known as CK Lee. Those who are involved in Esports, you would have seen CK in a few times. And I've personally met CK on a few occasions. And I can say this about CK, he knows sports and media really, really well. So we are very honored to have CK here today. And thirdly, we have Heng Leon. Leon is, of course, in the highly energetic and progressive esports company called Esports, led by a good friend of mine, Mr. Kenshi. So we look forward to hear from Leon, as he is clearly a definitive stakeholder in the business of esports. And it will be interesting to hear what Esports have to do here. So without further ado, can I first invite each speaker to introduce themselves for maybe 20-30 seconds, and then we'll go into the topic. Hasnul, all yours. Can I invite you to say hello and whatnot?
Sure.
All yours, Hasnul.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Hasnul Hadi Samsudin. I'm from the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation. So my team is known as the Digital Creative Content Division. So within MDAC, when we look at the whole of digital economy, our team looks specifically into the areas of digital creative content, and these areas are focused on the areas of animation. So you may have heard things like Booba Boy, Upin and Ipin, and Agent Ali, and the rest of all the animations that we have in this country. But we also have a great focus towards building the game industry in Malaysia and in the region. So we're very happy to be part of this, and very happy that the EGG is helping us working together with us and all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Hasnul. CK, so maybe you can share with us what are you doing at Astro? All yours, CK.
Hi everyone, my name is CK. me and my team came up with EGG Network. That was 5 years ago. And today we're in 8 different countries in Southeast Asia, including Australia. And we have branched out from being a TV channel now to doing events, doing marketing, as well as content production for esports. And lately we'll be getting into talent management in terms of the gaming streamers that we provide to a lot of different platforms. So thank you MDEC for letting us be partners for this year's event as well.
Well done, CK. What a fantastic evolution, CK, from the time when you and I met over football, a discussion on TV, and for you, for me to see Astro diving into esports and expanding so well. Well done to Astro. A good foresight. Well done. So my good friend Leon. Hi Leon, you are the Chief Operating Officer of IO Esports. Can I invite you to introduce yourself, Leon? All yours, Leon.
Yeah, sure. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Leon, the CEO of IO Esports. Today, I'm very delighted to be invited for this section today, along with the panels and moderator from different backgrounds. So IO Esports is a fast-paced 360 esports solution company in Southeast Asia. We are more into like doing live broadcasting, content creation, event management, and tournament management as well. Yep, thanks.
Yeah, in fact, I can say, Leon, that all of us who have been following esports, watching IO Esports with excitement, because knowing people who are involved in IO Esports, you are also fairly innovative, and we will see how it goes. We wish you the best of luck in your future undertakings. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks.
Sure. Okay. To all the viewers, once again, thank you very much for logging on Facebook. If you are able to, may I invite you to please share this webinar on your respective pages. Let more people find out about this, simply because then we will be able to invite a wider range of Q&A at the end of this session, and then we will be able to hear more views there on. Now, the first topic of discussion, very simple, and to set the tone of our dialogue today, is to discuss the what is clearly the topic of the year, probably even the topic of the decade, which is COVID-19 pandemic. So, Hasnul, from where you are sitting, and literally we have to sit somewhere because we cannot go out of our house. We're stuck at home, right? So from where you are sitting, for the last 3 months, what have been your observation on the impact of COVID-19 on esports? All yours, Hasnul.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you, Richard. So let me just step back, right, where we started the year in January, right? I think one of the things that happened last year was that the Ministry of Finance under the Budget 2020 announced that a specific allocation was given to MDEC to look at building digital heroes, digital content heroes. Right? There was a specific call out saying that they will be allocating about 20 million ringgit. Then there's another 20 million ringgit for esports under the Ministry of Youth and Sports. But let's just focus on MDEC. So even at that time, we were very excited. We knew that this was going to be the very interesting, a very thoughtful year for digital creative content. We were going to incentivize, push, and sort of really promote this opportunity within the industry. So as we went along, I think what has happened, and we were thinking, okay, this year Level Up KL, and if you've been to Level Up KL, last year was the first time we actually did Level Up KL, Level Up Play, we called it. It was the first public event around Level Up, and Level Up has been around for almost 5 years already. This will be the 6th year of Level Up. And the focus of Level Up has always been around the professionals and also the game developers, right? And that was Level Up Biz. So last year we decided to sort of level up and become Level Up Play, and where Level Up Play was sort of the impetus for us to actually allow our game developers and game developers around the region to showcase and get the public to be playing their games. And this was like a platform for and because we always hear from parents, they want to know more about game development because their children are very interested in this area. the opportunities where academics, the institution of higher learning could actually speak to their potential students. And there was always this really big thing around esports. Esports is becoming so huge in Malaysia that it actually gave a lot of awareness towards the game industry. Then came COVID, right? So COVID happened, and whoa, what's happening? What? So everybody was, and I go back to also this part when MDEC, even MDEC itself, I think the 2 days before the government decided to go on MCO, we were like, okay, let's brace for this, let's get ready. So we were all in our senior management meeting. So all the CEO, CFO, COO, and all of us were in our boardroom, and we're like, okay, guys, I think we better start. We see that these things are happening around the region and the world. Things are being shut down. I think we have to really think about getting ready to be working from home, right? As an organization, right? And then we are the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation. We had to be as digital as possible. So that same meeting, we were asked to go to our own rooms in the office, and then set up our, we had our Zoom accounts ready, and then actually log in and have our sort of senior management meeting online. Next thing you know, 2 days after that, MCO. So all of us as an organization had to be working from home. Now this then came to us, how are we going to actually run our programs now? A lot of our programs are very physical based. We actually run workshops. We actually have when people come to do their pitching for grants, they come physically we bring the judges together. Now we had to rethink, right? At the end of the day, there were things about building infrastructure for content creation and stuff like that in our minds. So we had to be agile enough to move, especially in very disruptive situations like this. And I think, actually digital helps. And I'm very glad to see that as an organization and as Malaysia, we're able to be as agile as possible. I think from the perspective of the government, and I'm sure all of you would agree with me, I think Malaysia is one of the sort of few countries that have actually handled this very well. But then we looked at sort of the industry and the requirements of the industry. We sent out a survey to various of our companies just to find out how are they coping with sort of being a part of this pandemic, right? Is business really hit? And we found out it does, right? 70% of our companies came back and said, if we don't get out of this within the next 3 months, we're going to be, either bankrupt or really not be able to be part of the business anymore. So again, sort of that we had to rethink about the programs that we did, right? So then came this, right? Level Up KL was essentially a platform to provide opportunities for our companies and sort of our partners. And this is why thank you everyone. Like, everybody came, like when we suggested this, like everybody just said, hey, how can I be part of this, right? And again, thankful to EGG to be our partners for this one, but we have so many other partners. And what was supposed to be just Level Up Space Bar. So there's two parts of Level Up for this week. There's Level Up Play One, which we're all part of right now, and there's Level Up Space Bar, which is actually the business side of gaming, right? So we started with just the idea of Level Up Space Bar, the idea of just having a event or a conference to provide a business to business matching opportunity for our companies, right? Because one of things like Taiwan, the Taipei Game Show couldn't happen. Things like now they've canceled Gamescom. I mean, not they canceled, but they have a digital version of Gamescom in Germany, and now canceled in Singapore and postponed in Singapore. And things that will happen to Level Up. So we had to bring it digital. And I think this is the culmination from a one-day event. I was talking to my team. The head of my team is Mr. Mohan Lau. He's the man, right? So he put this together. Say first a one-day program, and that one-day program was just going to be this. Okay, where everybody's going to come into this. We call it a deal room. Everybody registered. They're going to have meetings online, and then boom, we're done, right? But hey, everybody wanted to get involved. So from a one-day event became a 4-day event, right?
Yeah.
This weekend is Level Up Play One, and we see tournaments of our Malaysian-made esports games. Very happy to see that there are Malaysian-made esports games. Exinius, there's an invitational partnered with GTR and ESL. We have Combat Wombat, who's partnered with Matchroom. Mecha Wars partnered with Matchroom, and Hex Lords partnered with ePulse. And all these are Malaysian-made esports games, and we're very happy to see that. But also at the same time, again, my team being very ambitious, hey, why don't we do one for our junior kids, in Sekolah Menengah? Okay. So there's also another event happening with Kita Man called Level Up Play One Junior Cup. I think about 400 teams registered, 300 of them were playing, and we'll see, actually right now is the finals that's happening with students around the age of 13 to 17. And then we also have like Mega Cup, Gathering Cup with Flash Vision and Asia Sports Arena, and this esports webinar is I'm just happy. Mervin and the team, I salute you guys. You've got the best speakers in the region and around the world to be part of this webinar. This is gold, right? So we're really happy to see that happening, right? And then a lot of other things like game showcases and server DNA. But just coming back to COVID and esports and where the government is really looking at, I think this is where we really need to be as agile as possible. You've heard of Prihatin 1, Prihatin 2, which is to help the people on the ground. Now they have Penjana, and Penjana really is about how do you sort of recover from that. And I think this is one way. This is one of those sort of milestones that hopefully later on you'll see that there'll be others that will come forward. So maybe that's where I will stop, and then later on you guys can continue. Yeah.
Thank you, Hasnul. It's been a very infamous part of our history, COVID-19, and we've lost so many people on Earth, and there are still many people going through that. So I'm sure all of us here are very thankful that we are so far so good, so nice, and of course commercially, the whole world's commerce have come to a standstill, and for Malaysia, we just woke up last month, particularly the last 2 weeks. So we all must persevere together. And at RWC, we've been using this hashtag, together we will prevail. Only together we will prevail. So thank you, Hasnul, for saying that. And I love how MDEC creatively adapt and adopt to the new, the infamous phrase, the new normal.
Yes.
It's fantastic. So it goes to show that MDEC is leading the way. Now, on that note, CK, so you've seen how MDEC has, that is Hasnul's observation. He saw it. Basically, we can see he saw, he conquered it, and now he's moving on. So what about your angle? From your observation, CK, what have you seen the impact of COVID-19 on esports? All yours, CK.
It was very interesting because, my portfolio sits across both the traditional sports as well as esports. So while there's a pause for the traditional sports, like nothing is being played and all, then we have lack of content and all. Then more and more of these traditional sports federations and rights holders and federation association, they came out with their own esports versions of their own sports. We have during the lockdown, we have like UEFA coming out with the E-Euro event, E2020 event. Obviously, the original Euro has been postponed to next year. They have the E-Euro 2020 PS tournament. We have also like FIFA did their own charity event, which they managed to get $1 million in donation. And then the Premier League got on board too. They have the E-Premier League Invitational. And then you got F1 Esports Virtual Grand Prix as well as E-NASCAR. So it's, in a way, it's very interesting to see during the pause of traditional sports, you see that all these traditional sports rights holder embrace the e-version of their sports and put it out there because there's no sports around. And this, in turn, I think, made a very good introduction to these traditional sports fans on what actually esports is all about. So I think that during the COVID-19 lockdown at its peak, we see esports being introduced to a lot of traditional fans, and I think it's a very good thing that, you know, for esport, I know it's mainstream, but it's still not that mainstream like, for example, like real traditional sports and all that. But it is a very good introduction to the traditional sports fans, that, you know, to let them see what this esports about. And of course, other initiative we did was, you know, we use esports to drive the campaign of people to stay at home and all that. So yeah, it was very interesting because I see through the entire landscape of sports, including traditional sports and esports, and then I see, you know, esports coming out during the lockdown to take over. So hopefully it's here to stay. That's what I'm saying.
Yep. Well done, Siki. Indeed. I like the part you said that there was a social responsibility, actually. The part you said that EGG tried to use esports as a way to ensure that people stay at home.
Yeah.
And it worked. It worked. Many people stayed at home, you know.
Yeah, stay at home and play games. Why not?
Yeah. So it was very interesting to see all those traditional sports adapting and embracing esports as part of their new way of competition. And you know, CK, the way X Games is going, the way esports is going now reminds me of X Games. You know, when X Games came up about 20 years ago, there was a resistance to X Games 20 years ago. Of course, now some of the X Games has become part of the Olympics. And I recall those days, Astros 20 years ago started to show lots of X Games, and we were watching people on BMX, rock climbing, etc. And that was the new norm then, you know. But of course, for esports, the unexpected COVID-19 has, in a way, while it dampened the world spirit, but it increased and expanded the adventures of esports. Esports have really become very adventurous the last 3 months. So, thank you for the observation, CK. So, Leon, unlike Hasnul, who is in a way a regulator and a manager of the industry, and then CK, who is clearly leading a specific yet very powerful tool of communication in the stakeholders of esports. You, on the other hand, Leon, you are literally on the ground. IO Esports is the heartbeat of it. Without people like IO Esports, EGG and MDEC may not have any content to sell and to promote. So why don't you share with us your observations the last 3 months about the impact of COVID-19 on esports from your perspective? All yours, Leon.
Okay, thank you. So for esports, which is reliance on live events, has been one of the first part of the industry to be affected. So most of the esports event has been cancelled or postponed, though some of them are taking place without audience. So the key goal for this would be the R&D part. With the current technology and also the high-speed internet, the directors, the producers, the broadcast engineers, the professional gamers are all able to work remotely and play remotely to recreate the excitement and quality of the live event. At the same time, esports able to continue due to its playing field is virtual and can be replicated online. Nothing can be truly replace the social richness of the live experience, even with the online events. However, I do feel like for esports, currently is growing in a prominent stage as a result of COVID-19. One of the best case study that I could see is the sports leagues around the world have turned into the sector to find new ways to engage with their fans. I think one of the great example would be the NASCAR managed to augment the cancelled events with its iRacing series with one event eventually attracted of 1.3 million peak viewers. This is a pretty huge number for a traditional kind of like a sports to turn into the virtual esports. It's kind of like a great number. So of course, esports revenue may have declined during this pandemic stage, but the value of the sector more broadly has rise as a result of low-cost marketing and have benefited from during the crisis. At the same time, I do observe that this pandemic may lead to the normalization of esports. Esports have been like popularized and legitimized in unpredictable way and profound way. We could see broadcasters, league owners, and professional players seeking to engage with their friends among younger demographic groups. With the prologue of the shutdown for traditional sports league, this may drive even more fans to esports on a regular basis, which globally about 10 million of new consumer for the industry can be seen through the stats shown online. One of the best case study, which is I observed, especially in Malaysia throughout the pandemic situation, whereby two of the most popular esports professional league for the country, which is Mobile Legends Professional League, MPL, and also PUBG Mobile Pro League as well. Both have increase of like a significant increase of viewership, about 100% compared to the usual viewership that they got. This would give a very good like insight to the industry and also the non-endemic brands that esports is something that they can look into while we are facing this pandemic situation. Probably it will be ongoing for until the end of the year with the social distance being applied, right? So at the same time, this also serves as a reminder for the media companies and brands out there to remain addressable, that the market of esports is actually able to highly engage consumer and towards the mainstream. And we could see like also the overall upwards trend for online activities. No one knows where the esports saturation point will be for participation and online consumption in personal activity, but the virus have devastated many other industries. Some elements of esports industry have not been harmed. So I would see there is still a potential growth for esports to currently maintain their advantage compared to the traditional sports due to this COVID-19 situation. Yeah, that's all from me.
Hey, well said, Leon. I love how you have listed down what has happened. And from your point of view as a direct stakeholder, yes, I too notice games like Mobile Legend, MPL, and PUBG has become much more active. You know, prior to this webinar, my law firm, Richard V. Chambers, we were very fortunate to hold not one, but 3 webinars on the issues of commerce and esports. We had quite a number of speakers, and among the resonating issue which came up was the expansion of the value of esports, something you said, Leon. And it's just nice now to go to our next topic, where in fact I am going to merge 2 issues into one so that Hasnul don't have to speak 2 times. Where we now need to talk about the business of esports, the commerce of esports, the investment of esports, and where are we going with that? So, you know, Hasnul, being a team leader at MDEC, I was going to inquire from you what would be MDEC's future plans for esports. But maybe we can do 2 in 1 for you. What would be, in your view, I mean, this is not your view, this will be your internal input. We are getting it directly from the man himself, the future of esports from MDEC's point of view, and what is your observation pertaining to potential investment, commerce, and business of esports? All yours, Hasnul.
All right, thanks. So Richard, I think from you heard from both CK and Leon. I think the opportunity has actually arisen, and I guess this is in part because of the situation we're in, but also in terms of maturity of the industry as a whole. A lot of people, I think, before even MDEC had pushed this, always thought that the games industry was very much and just entertainment, and very much just probably if it was developers, it's somebody doing in their own sort of little room by themselves, and it was a hobby. But what we have done over the past years is to actually look at this as an ecosystem, and we've from our perspective, MDEC and what we have convinced our stakeholders within the government is to seriously look at this industry as a economic growth area. And I think that's kind of why the government in the last budget, and also including with the current budget, see the potential of us to invigorate the ecosystem even more. Now, very specifically towards esports, I think our mandate, I would say, and this is something that I always talk to our team about. We try to as much not to be stepping over or duplicating the efforts of what the Ministry of Youth and Sports is doing. So we saw at the start of the COVID pandemic, and especially during MCO, there was a stay-at-home challenge, right, done by ESM and KBS. Huge numbers of esports clubs from around the country, from all the different associations coming together and thing. And I was very surprised to see so many esports clubs, from the grassroots level, which in a sense validates what the Ministry of Youth and Sports and us say about esports, and especially having people like IO Esports, and before it was Mineski, and all these different Kitamen, all these different esports companies, on how they can get the sort of general public involved. And coming back from what Leon said, getting the non-endemic brands sort of really looking at this and seeing that the opportunity and awareness of really reaching out to the youth, to the people that they want to target. And these are the guys that these are the people that will actually, at the end of the day, be the ones that will become more affluent, have expendable cash that they will be able to spend. And this is why you do it now. And because of this, I think you look at it as an ecosystem. You just don't look at just the I would say the game developers, the publishers, but also the streamers, the producers, the shoutcasters, and the players themselves. And then when you look at it as an ecosystem, then you see that it is an economic growth potential. And I think this is where we will come from. The difference between us and KBS will be that they will look at how to create new athletes in esports, while we will look at how do we actually fill in the gaps within the ecosystem. How do we actually incentivize maybe later? We haven't worked on that plan yet, and maybe we can hear from the esports community and how we can help to do this. Is how do we encourage more streamers to come on board? How do we encourage streamers to become more commercial, right? How do we provide sort of training modules or workshops that allow people to have better production values when they go online? So when they go online, at the end of the day, our streamers are probably going to be more professional than what's available. Can they become the next Ninja? How do we actually help that to happen? Then when we look at it, how do we provide infrastructure, right? Could there be specific infrastructure? So before, like in the animation sphere, we actually provided rendering facilities for our animation companies. Could there be specific infrastructure that, hey, maybe we could build, well, for now we can't because of COVID, but maybe we could build a public facility where people can come in to do their own productions, right? A special production, or maybe work with partners, right? To help incentivize partners to help, teams to come and use their facilities. So these are things that are top of our mind. And I think it's really important to see how that we can help investors look at it and see Malaysia as a potential hub. You know, we've been asked by certain teams that they want to do training, like, you know, I can't name those teams, but they want to come and do training in Malaysia for a longer period of time, and things that we have to think about is like, how do we get visas for them, right? How do we make it so that Malaysia is ready to accept esports athletes come into Malaysia and be able to do this? So these are the things that are always we get, and again, being the pioneers and being the guys who understand within the government, we will have to be able to sort of pivot and be agile enough to go and talk to immigrations. This is what we need to do, right? So this is the required. These are the kinds of people that are required to come. Are we able to help them out? They might not have certain professional experiences, but can they be afforded a professional visit pass? Things like that. So we are like in between between industry and government, and I think we pride ourselves, hopefully, to do that well.
Yep. Well said, Hasnul. In fact, the last part of what you were mentioning, there is strong issues of regulatory. I think that's why Mervin wanted me to come in and moderate this session, because there are elements of regulation and law and rules in everything that you mentioned. All three of you are talking about, yeah. So I try to give, of course, my input to it. But yes, you're right. We have been approached about professional teams coming to Malaysia to train, and we have immigration issues. So I would have, I think the ideal legal way is to come up with a dedicated SOP for this. And I think if we can attract more, especially wealthy esports team to come here, then they are investing into Malaysia, and it will also improve our ecosystem, esports ecosystem.
Yeah. So maybe later, Richard, we will ask you questions, and then you will give us free legal advice. Free legal advice publicly.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to share whatever information that I have. You know, hopefully all of us can help the industry together. Yeah.
Awesome.
But you know me, Hasnul. I'm just a phone call away.
I know.
So I like what Hasnul is saying. So he has set the tone. This is what someone in MDEC is sharing with us. This is what the government is looking at. The wider picture, the macro and micro image views. So now we flow to CK. And CK will take 2 in 1 because it's already 3:40. I want to try and take 2 in 1. We do want to know what is the media involvement of esports in the future. And I already see that you shared earlier that Astro is really invested into this. You have much interest in this. So in your view, other than speaking from the media involvement of esports, how do you foresee the reaction and the character and the attitude of the business community to invest into the esports business? All yours, CK.
I think let's take it back one step backwards about the ecosystem that Hasnul mentioned. I think a lot of people need to be aware that, you know, all these numbers about how big esports and the video game industry is huge. It's huge. There's no denying that. But if you dig down further, you look and you get the details. You see that it's almost close to, I would say, high 80 or 90% of all the revenue just goes straight to game developers and game publishers. So, you know, all of us that I would call downstream stakeholders, people like us, as well as Leon, IO, you know, it's quite challenging. Esport, although it's getting there, it's still in Southeast Asia. It's still quite early days, in my opinion. And I think all of us, the stakeholders in the industry, needs to educate the corporate sponsors, advertisers, as well as government on how to make it viable that every stakeholder in this ecosystem survive. Hence, you see, when we started off with EGG 5 years ago, we just a channel on Astro. You know, we look at the entire ecosystem and say, hey, this is probably not sustainable if we just become a channel. So we look into doing like tournament organizing, look into managing talents, as well as now we are like probably one of the more established marketing platform for brands, advertisers, game publisher as well, game developer as well. So you can see the difference is more than 80% of revenue goes straight to the game publisher and developer, but we are just downstream, just having to work with the 20% of it. So that's a huge imbalance. But I think all stakeholders needs to get together to educate the industry and all the commercial partners on how we can make this work. In terms of AGG, we'll continue with our core strength, which is content development and content production. Before COVID and after COVID, we have technology that we can produce remotely, as well as content that we can produce for any corporate sponsors as well as advertisers out there. So I think, like I said before, it's good that everyone, especially the stakeholders, all of us, continue to educate the industry, especially the advertisers and the sponsors, on how to activate esports and make it better for everyone. Case studies are very important, like what Leon said about NASCAR, and for us, I think our biggest case study was KL. So we bring it along and we educate our clients about how to activate esports based on that. But of course, it's an ongoing thing, and we work on it every day.
Yeah, well said, CK. Thank you. In fact, as you all know, some of you may know that I'm quite involved in sports and sports law. In fact, I'm a big sports fan, and I met CK in a sports TV show talking about Everton, the club which never win. Yeah, but but the point is being that the reason why I raised that, CK, is that I think for many a times our traditional sponsors for traditional sports, they would rely on certain data and then invest in certain ways. Some advertisers just go in blindly because it's football, it's basketball, But in my view, actually, I think esports cannot be approached that way. I think esports for advertising purposes and investment purposes, it actually must be seen from the game point of view towards sponsor, not sponsor going in and see what I can get. Because the character and the identity of esports is absolutely different from football or badminton, for example. And the viewership are different. The kind of people who watch esports have a different desire and a different ambition when they watch it. The legacy, very important, is legacy. What is the legacy that esports is going to leave behind? So if you can tackle the legacy, you can tackle the sponsorship. And that's how I usually advise my potential sponsors for esports. Yeah. It must be seen differently. And I like how you're doing it, because it is very obvious that even though you are heavily involved in traditional sports, Astro is approaching esports very differently from you, the way you approach, for example, football, So well done. I do hope there are more people who invest into Malaysia. Like Hasnul say, we will be and we can be the hub for not just esports, but for sports. We are right in the middle of a powerful sporting region. Southeast Asia is all about football, badminton, basketball, the best basketball teams in Philippines. Sepak takraw, the king is here. Best badminton players are here. Of course, China will say differently, but we are really, really strong, so Malaysia can be the hub. Now, flowing from there, thank you for sharing your view so far, Hasnul and TK. So, Leon, you've heard the two gentlemen. So, Hasnul shared from their angle of from a regulatory purposes, and of course, CK came from the media purposes angle. So from your side, being again, my phrase I use for you, a direct stakeholder, you are really directly involved, organizing tournaments, etc., etc. How do you foresee esports attracting business, sustaining business, and maintaining the current flow that we are having now, the current trend that we are going now? All yours, Leon.
Okay, so when investment, this word pops up, I think two things that comes into my mind: new investor and also like commercial partner slash sponsors, right? I think throughout this period, we could see great numbers of esports. So I think these both parties will be attracted to this esports space, and they could see like based on the numbers, they could see like rapid rise in the popularity, and people are also looking for alternative entertainment to fill the social void as much as being entertainment for many people. So, but I believe like it won't be a easy jump for this company to adapt into this, because like there are very few decision makers that truly understand this esports space. So there are a lot of party like probably MDEC and also EGG plays a huge important role, like how do we show and demonstrate to the investor over the maturity of the market for the next few months, and supported also with the competence and also strategic management teams to drive this as well. So this to avoid like to blow away some misconception towards the market, and also helps to unlock a new set of investors, brands, and also sponsors that have not been available until now. So it's too early to say that like this could be a defining move for esports, but it's also unclear to an extent that how much interest will stick when live event can take place again, right? And lockdowns are lifted. But organizations, medias, and also like the MDEC as well also need to work strategically over the coming weeks and months to create a solid foundation from where they believe they will be well positioned to react the reward. This so far from my side.
Wish you again earlier. I really wish IO Esports will expand. It's always very warm to see local companies, not just from Southeast Asia, but as a Malaysian, to see a Malaysian company expanding. I really hope IO Esports can be a team, the leading company. I think you all are already there. Let's hope you continue pushing it through. But yes.
Yeah, just want to add. I think IO Esports is a global company already, not just local company. They are global already. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud.
Well
Even EGG, they are global already.
Yeah,
well
man.
Done, well done.
Don't play. Malaysia boleh. Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that everybody understands that IO Esports is already a global company.
Yeah, a local company which went global. Local boy. Yeah. So well done. So I like the word you used, Leon. You said the word branding, and that is something we can even do one whole session just branding of esports on that. That was why, as I told you all earlier, when RWC held a webinar on esports, every webinar was almost 2 hours, and it was so intense that we had to have 3 sessions with 3 different group of speakers. It was fantastic. I loved it. So branding. Maybe EGG may want to do another webinar on branding later. So guys, to sum it up, and then we can go to Q&A. Something light to end the session before we invite Q&As. I think the EGG people can start putting up the Q&A below the screen so that we can address it. Maybe we can address 3 or 4 questions. But gentlemen, there are some games which just came up, and what is your favorite new game now? And favorite new esports now? Hasnul, what's your favorite new esports game or any game now?
Wow, esports. Well, I know Valorant came out, but I just only tried it once. I don't have much time to games because, yes, there's so much things to do right now. I level up, play it, and everything. But the latest game, which I just finished last night, was Final Fantasy VII Remake. I just thought it was a bit too long, but it was a great game. I thought it was just a bit too long. There's some to the point that I had to keep for myself to finish it. But I'm really looking forward to The Last of Us 2. I think that's going to be a very amazing game. I think it's 96 on Metacritic right now. And also, I thought by the end of this month we'll get to play No Straight Roads, but because of COVID, Yeah, no straight roads from Metronomic had to be pushed to sometime middle of summer. So, yeah, so we'll have to wait for that. But yeah, I'm excited. There's so many games coming out, and this is the time to play, I guess. But we'll see.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it? The amount of new games coming up. People are so creative. The game developers are so brilliant, and then the publishers, the way they brilliantly market the game, like Valorant, fantastic. Yeah. So, CK, what is your new favorite esports game at the moment?
I mean, obviously, I'm too old to do esports. Reflexes are not good, and probably get hit shot like 20 times in a row. So I'm like, I play a lot of offline games, and during this MCO, I finished a lot of my old games. I finished Red Dead Redemption 2.
Wow!
I finished Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I finished Pokemon Let's Go on my Switch. And now I'm playing Fallout 4. It's gonna be another 100 hours there, I think.
Wow, superb. I spent 170 hours on Odyssey, man. That was one of my favorites, man.
I can't. I stop at 90. I can't.
Yeah. All right. What about you, Leon? I mean, surely you must be playing a lot of games, man. I mean,
Leon probably play online. He's young.
Yeah, man. I love your work. Leon's job. He's actually paid to play games. So I mean, what brilliant, man. So what's your?
So I think recently the latest new game that we play, probably the same as Hasnul, which is Valorant. We even have like an internal company competition to fill out the social distance, and also like to keep in touch together with the colleague as well. So like it's been ongoing for like 3 to 4 days already internally. We had this online tournament for Valorant. So overall the game was pretty good, and we do see potential for the game to grow big, especially like in Southeast Asian market as well.
Excellent. Unfortunately, I am an old man. I'm not surprised if I'm the oldest among the four here. And the game I'm playing, don't laugh, guys. Don't laugh. It's called Football Manager.
Oh, I remember the game.
I do play that as well. Yeah.
I still play.
Classic, bro. Classic.
Yeah.
So in my game, Everton is champion every year. Yeah, the only time they win. Yeah.
I'm sure you used the Big Daddy cheat.
Don't say. Well, okay. I like the fact that all of us here, despite having a serious career, are still keeping in touch with our humorous self. I mean, some games will always help to cheer us up. Life is so serious. Why must we take everything so seriously, isn't it? And esports is one of those times where you can have fun and take things seriously at the same time. With that in mind, can I invite some questions? I understand that EGG will post questions below the screen, and then we can take it. So we have a question here from, I hope I pronounce your name correctly. My apologies if I don't pronounce it correctly. I see it as Mustachio AJ. Question for each Hasnul. How does MDEC plan to create more talents and aid new and upcoming creators who for the moment are only backed by passion but lack the knowledge and funding? Wow, this is a tough one. I repeat the question, Hasnul. How does MDEC plan to create more talents and aid new and upcoming creators who for the moment are only backed by passion but lack the knowledge and funding? All yours, Hasnul.
Richard, is a very good question, and I don't think it's very tough. The only tough part is actually execution. So there are two parts of this question, right? One is knowledge, and the other is funding. And I think it's a really good question, and something that MDEC does not know that 100% the answers. Nobody knows the 100% the answers. The answer would probably lie with either CK or Leon, who probably know this space very well. But I can tell you one: whenever we want to work on knowledge, and the similar parallel to us in terms of games and animation is that we work with partners. So one of the things that we usually do is actually set up workshops with our partners who know well, on how to engage the people who have the passion. Yeah, and just to remind you, right? I think it's really important to understand that also there's space for everyone. So a space for right now we're all speaking English. Paling kita nak tengok ada juga yang menjadi senior dalam bahasa Melayu. Then it reaches different market, bahasa Indonesia. So all these will reach different markets, and it will also be important for us to actually develop the talents within the different speaking languages. Yeah, and I guess that in itself, I think that we've always used to is one is to have these kinds of webinars to actually get people to be interested and start talking about it. After this, I think I'll have to work with my team and then work with CK and Leon and all our different partners to actually look at how can we develop workshop to actually teach people and actually get them to understand these are the things, these are the first top 3 things that they will need to do. Then after that, into more detail on how to engage their customers, their viewers in terms of creating. Now then the second part is about funding. And I think resources are resources, although they're limited, they're always there. And it's something that already we are thinking at the back of our mind. How do we resource this? And I guess it's not like providing just specifically just grants, right? It could be just providing infrastructure, providing mentorship, these sort of things that will actually help it grow even further. I know that EGG actively looks out and actually, again, one of the things that CK mentioned just now was that they're actually now going to be looking at talent management. But even then, when they go for talent management, there has to be a funnel to become those talents. Could MDEC work with EGG, could work with IO Esports, Kitaman for that matter, to develop these talents together. And I hope that this is a collaboration, like Leon said. This has to be a conversation between all the stakeholders to make it happen. And MDEC does not have 100% of the answers, but we'll work with partners to actually do this. So that will be my answer to this question.
Yeah, well said, Hasnul. As I said very much earlier in the show, you know your stuff. So
no, I don't know my stuff. I work with partners who know my stuff.
Know their stuff.
Yourself, like CK, like Leon. We are I would say the glue that helps things happen.
Yeah, thank you. But I like your answer actually. I think, and in fact, while we cannot communicate directly with AJ, I believe you have actually answered the question.
So just I think my team is going to start up a Discord for Level Up KL. So I hope that people can join that Level Up Discord KL, and then maybe we can make a section just specifically for like esports streamers, and we can put our questions in there, put our partners in there, and then we can come up with plans in there. So Mohan, Equi, think about. I know that you guys are thinking about it. Already have it. I think we need to put it on Facebook and get people to come on board. Yeah.
Hasnul, I know your team. They are very creative people, and I'm not saying that what I'm going to say next, they haven't thought about it. But if they haven't thought about it, an idea would be to form like a mentor-mentee relationship. That would be one, sandbox concept, like the way they are doing in most of the startups and fintechs, etc. But I said, I'm quite certain your team already dah terfikir, dah memang plan dah. So I'm quite sure they'll do it. Can we have
We're more than happy to hear advice from you, Richard. So let us whatever you can come.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I invite the next question, please? Can I invite EGG to put the next question for us? Okay. The next question is for all of us, all the speakers, from Samhitra Mira. Again, I apologize if I pronounce your name inaccurately. Does the boost in esports represent an enduring change? We did ask about this. Or a temporary respite while real world sport activities are suspended? I'm going to invite CK to try this first. So basically, CK, the question is this it? Or is this just a temporary explosion and we will revert to what it was prior to the pandemic? CK and then Leon, before Hasnul have a last say. All yours, CK?
I don't call it like a temporary respite or even a hype. I see Samita asking whether will esports hype survive past COVID-19, which is similar to what the original question is. It's an opportunity right now because there's no live sports. You see esports being introduced to new fans, to new traditional sports fans, to new casual fans. Traditional media for the last 3 months started to pick up on esports because there's nothing to report. So it's an opportunity to introduce esports to a new set of fans. So I think that is a super great opportunity that this came along. And then now esport is going to be further popularized. That's my thought on that question.
Okay, good point. I think you're right. I also don't think it's just a burst. Of course, we mustn't confuse between a burst and a excitement. Something which is new, we get excited, then it dies down.
It's always been there.
Yeah, but here it's always been there.
It's always been there. Now that he has, branched off to more mainstream media.
Yeah.
And more mainstream traditional sports fans. So, it's very good for the esport industry.
Yeah. Okay, so I like your answer. Thank you, CK. Maybe Leon, you want to give a try to this? It says that whether the esports is it an enduring change or a temporary respite? All yours, Leon.
Okay, so I think I have the same, thoughts and opinion with CK as well. So, on my end, I feel like throughout this period, viewers and also audience will develop a significant new habit of watching a whole new entertainment at home. So most probably I would see the trend will be for example, taking F1, Formula 1 as an example. So during the weekdays period, which the traditional F1 Grand Prix is ongoing, so people will start to watch the actual racing Formula 1. But during the weekend, if there is no actual real racing being evolved, then some substitute entertainment, like for example, e-racing, would be able to fill up the gap time or even the social engagement to gain more new generation of fans. Especially I do see for Formula 1 group, they do treat esports right now as one of the their new growth engine in order to help to retain the existing viewers of Formula 1 and also bring in new ever elusive younger demographic. So I think COVID-19 has provided the perfect test platform for everyone in the industry.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think your observation is quite universal, among the people involved in esports. We all don't think it's temporary. We all think it's going to be a sustaining one. Hasnul, you want to wrap it up here before can you wrap it up first? Yeah. The question is
just very quickly. I think just my addition to this is this, that it's just about the rate of growth. So the delta has really changed for esports. It's good. It's going to grow. It's keep growing. I think it's just faster now. There'll be more eyeballs onto this. I think this is where those within this area have to take the opportunity. And then again, I agree with Leon. It's really how do we, and CK, how do we educate the advertisers, the agencies that this is an opportunity, right? And it's similar to this. Level Up will never just be a physical event anymore. Then now it has to be both digital and physical at the same time. And what it just means that we'll reach more eyeballs, more of the public that will understand and be more aware of the opportunities within this industry.
Yep. So it's here to say we are all optimistic, and I don't think it's just optimism. I think that's the reality at the end of the day, right, Richard? I tend to agree. All right. So with that in mind, we've got 5 more minutes. Maybe we'll take one final question. At the same time, I actually really want to invite all 3 speakers to give their summary. So maybe we'll try, because looking at some of the questions are quite wide. Is there any question we can try, Rachel? No, Okay. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen.
There's one more question.
Okay, it pops up. Okay, all right. From Ridiculous Gaming. Last question of the day before I invite the speakers to give their summary. Content creation are very limited. The ecosystem is so narrow, even globally. How will we expand the industry? So I'm going to break norm and I'm going to invite Leon first, followed by Hasnul, and ending with CK. So Leon, looking at this, Leon, content creation are very limited. The ecosystem is so narrow, even globally. How will we expand the industry? You want to give it a shot, Leon?
Yeah, I think for this is mainly like content creation is a very broad subject, right? So live broadcasting can be also considered as a content creation. Even like streamer doing live streaming on Facebook also considered as a part of the content creation. So it's about how do we integrate the whole thing and repackage it into something valuable and a number for us to show to the probably potential investor or also commercial partner in order for them to buy in. Right now, the current market is pretty much saturated, right? We don't have a proper data or insight that could really convince the market value of the esports based on the number itself. So I think like most probably like what Hasnul said, like MDEC, EGG, and all of the stakeholders should like sit down together to come up with a tangible number for us to represent the overall market value of esports in the market. Yep.
Oh, well said, Leon. We are probably ready for it, huh? So, Hasnul, what is your view? Content creation are limited, ecosystem narrow, all yours.
Yeah. So I always go back to what I learned about media, right? It all depends on the platform you're on. How you build the content will manifest in the platforms, and how successful it is will manifest on the platforms you come. We have like this talk, right? We're talking for almost an hour and a half already, but there's very specific nuggets that we can use later on to actually keep alive the conversation. And then there are many platforms, not just Facebook. There's also TikTok. There's also Instagram. There's also there. So if I already even talked to my team, right? There's so much nuggets in what Leon had to say, CK had to, you had to say. Can we cut it up into little pieces later on and use different platforms to reach different audiences? So don't look at just content creation based on what we see in streaming, but look at the opportunities and the reach that you have based on the media platforms that you have. So on Astro would be a different group of customers. On TikTok, there'll be different group of customers. So be very, very intelligent enough to use whatever content that you have and to see what kind of things that are more relevant to your audience in the platform that you're on. So that would be my advice. I think that's how you would expand.
So clearly, in your mind, there is a roadmap ahead. We have a roadmap towards this, and we will build on it.
Yep.
Well done. CK,
Yep.
you want to have a last say before then I invite all of you to have a summarized words, then we call it a day. All your CK, the question?
I think if you talk about content creation, it's as limited as you want it to be. If you only look between the esport and gaming kind of pillar, then it's going to be limited to that. What we need to do is look outside of that. What Astro does so well is we are an entertainment company. While we have an esport business, we try to marry the best cases from entertainment to esports. And you know what thing that ties everything together, even from esport content to sports content to non-sports content, there's one unifying factor that's tying everything together that will resonate with all the fans and consumer. It is only storytelling. As long as you get that right, the fans will come. The fans will give you a thumbs up. You get good feedback. So you have to think of storytelling as the unifying factor. At the end of the day, put yourself in the shoe of your viewers and think of what they want.
Yeah.
What they prefer to watch.
Yep, exactly. It's all about the narration. If we narrate it well, we can capture the imagination. It's a narration and imagination. Well said, CK. So with that in mind, thank you very much to the speakers. Let me summarize today's very, very insightful webinar. The three speakers shared their personal observation on the impact of the pandemic on esports. all three speakers are very optimistic, and as in the words of Hasnul, it's here to stay. No more optimism is actually here. And all three speakers shared their views on the investment on esports. So later on, those who want to watch this again, you can rewind and then watch it, where they share their views on how we can attract sponsors, investors, and business opportunities. It is about the value, and it is whether esports is a sustainable business. And all three shared that it is here to stay. Esports will be here to stay. And lastly, we then covered on the issue of media and new games, etc. And the Q&A has been very, very insightful, very good questions so far. So can I invite each speaker to have your last maybe 10, 15 seconds of your last commentary before we wrap it up and the next webinar starts. Hasnul?
All right, so just to wrap it up, again, we all see, and even within MDEC, there's great opportunities. But more importantly, if I want to find relevance to myself, I just look at my son. He's 10 years old. He came to me today, sat down next to me, and said, "Hey, Daddy, I'm a captain in my in this tournament." I said, "Huh? What captain?" Yeah, in the counter Roblox they call it. And he's already 10 years old and getting ready to become a captain of his team already. So this is the thinking at that level of age already, and this is already there. So I think it's really important now to be able to adapt and be able to it's not about taking advantage, but really about getting ready, all of us, that this is the future of what's happening with the kids, with the youth. How do we actually be able to be ready for it? So I think this is where all of us as stakeholders have to ready and be able to adapt and listen more and be able to move forward with good plans.
Yeah, thank you for that, Hasnul. Basically, step in and step up.
Exactly.
Step in and step up and stay there. So okay, CK, your last comment summaries and maybe your goodbye notes to our viewers.
I think the industry in the region is still quite young, and since we are at that stage, all the stakeholders need to support each other for the betterment of esport, especially in the commercialization portion of it. So the more we work better together, I guess, surely at the end of the day, we'll see some sort of returns. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we will. We will see returns. I'm certain of that. And Leon, your final words, final comments?
Yeah. So for IO Esports point of view, I think we do see esports in snowball stage and still have a huge potential to growth especially in Southeast Asia. And at the same time, with what CK mentioned, it's important to work together with all the stakeholders of esports in order to ensure the overall esports is able to reach the maturity and also able to demonstrate to the investor the value of it in the market.
Okay, and I'm sure IO Esports will put a lot of value in esports. We look forward to your growth, as I said earlier, and you're already a global business. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, to the viewers, can I trouble all of you and invite all of you to give a cyber round of applause to these very fantastic three speakers who came prepared for the talk.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you to you, man. Our awesome moderator.
Anytime.
Everyone.
Yeah, and I think we all, I repeat, thank MDEC, EGG, and Mervin's team in EGG for doing a fantastic job on this. I will end this because we got another webinar coming up. We're eating into the time. I'll end this by saying this, that as I said earlier, it has been an awful time. We've seen a lot of our fellow human beings going through a tough time, losing their lives, but we can prevail, and we will prevail, and we will do it together. So together, we will prevail. So terima kasih Malaysia. Thank you Malaysia. Thank you everybody in the world. Take care. Goodbye. Adios amigos. So we will end this here now. Should I click? end or? Yeah. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.